what will happen as this crucial summer barbecue circuit starts? We know that MPs are going to be in their ridings. What will they be doing? They need to be selling their party to all of their constituents, but instead, are they going to be there selling out the Prime Minister?
Happy Canada Day from everyone at Northern Perspective. We hope you're having a safe and happy Canada Day with your friends and family and anybody that is close to you in your life.
Justin Trudeau continues to remain silent on the results of the Toronto St. Paul's by-election, as well as recent calls to resign coming from all directions. Is that a safe move? Well, maybe in the immediate short term. Is it the smart move? Absolutely not.
Let's take a look. So we begin today with an article from the Globe and Mail titled, Trudeau's office declines to comment on letter from Liberal MPs requesting National Caucus meeting.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office declined to comment Sunday on a letter signed by several MPs calling for an immediate in-person National Caucus meeting to discuss the party's surprising by-election loss in Toronto St. Paul's. A small group of MPs sent the letter to Liberal Caucus Chair Brenda Shanahan on Friday, requesting the immediate meeting to discuss what they called the, quote, extremely concerning, end quote, by-election results. Quote, this was a race the Liberal Party of Canada should not have lost. Our government has a strong legacy of achievement since 2015. The Liberal brand and our values resonate with Canadians, end quote, states the letter penned by Calgary MP George Chahal, who did not respond to a request for comment Sunday. The letter said many Canadians who have backed the Liberal Party are no longer supportive and have tuned out. It also said the voters in the Toronto by-election sent a clear message. Quote, if we claim to be listening, then our public responses are disconnected from reality, end quote, it said. Further, the letter said MPs have spoken with dozens of their caucus colleagues and said there is a clear consensus in favor of a national discussion, quote, about how we serve the needs of the Liberal Party of Canada, our government, and, most importantly, the people of Canada, end quote. A copy of the email sent by Mr. Chahal said the letter was signed by him and 8 other MPs, but he wrote that it is up to the signatories to identify themselves if they wish. The letter was sent on the same day that Catherine McKenna, who served in both the environment and infrastructure portfolios in Mr. Trudeau's cabinet, said in a statement that it's time for the Liberals to select a new leader. Also that day, New Brunswick Liberal MP Wayne Long sent his own letter to fellow MPs arguing that the voters are calling for a change of leader and adding, quote, I agree, end quote. Meanwhile, Mr. Trudeau has held several public events since last Monday's by-election. He has yet to answer questions from the media about the results.
Ms. Shanahan did not respond Sunday to a request for comment on the letter requesting a caucus meeting. Jenna Gaspé, a press secretary in the Prime Minister's office, responded Sunday with an email saying the office had nothing to add. Videos posted on social media showed Mr. Trudeau dancing at a barbecue stand Friday evening during the Taste of Asia Festival in Markham, Ontario. Several Conservative MPs mockingly shared the video, including Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman. Quote, Sir, the caucus is asking for you to go. Trudeau. Tell them I'm busy, she wrote in a post on social media platform X, pointing to the dancing Prime Minister. Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer called for a caption contest. I'll go first. Dance like nobody is calling for your resignation, he posted, adding the hashtag wacko. Ottawa area Liberal MP Chandra Arya said on social media Saturday that, quote, the Liberal caucus is abuzz with discussion and engagement, end quote, and shared publicly what he wrote to his caucus colleagues with respect to Mr. Trudeau's leadership. Quote, hello, colleagues. As most of you may know, I am not a member of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Superfans Club. In my view, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken the party and the government too far left of centre, end quote, he said, using the acronym for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, PMJT. He said he expressed these concerns to the Prime Minister in 2019, and his views remain the same. Quote, PMJT and his team have made several wrong policy/strategic choices, end quote, he wrote. But he then followed that criticism by listing what he said are the government's many significant policy successes, before concluding that Mr. Trudeau should stay on as leader, describing him as a patient and disciplined man who works hard and reads extensively. I think there's one thing that we learned in the public inquiry is this guy doesn't read anything. Absolutely anything. He even said as much. And, you know, it was not even implied, it was straight out laid out to everybody. If you want Justin Trudeau to know anything, you can't give it to him in a briefing note. You can't pass him a piece of paper. You have to tell him. So whatever he's reading, it has nothing to do with his job, evidently. Let's keep going. Also on Saturday, Mr. Long, the first Liberal MP to publicly call for Mr. Trudeau to step aside for a new leader, told the Globe and Mail in an interview that he thinks the party can still win the next election as long as it renews itself. The New Brunswick MP said he did not send his letter to sabotage the party, but to help it, arguing that many Canadians want to reconnect with the Liberal Party but don't feel they can. Quote, I want to see us win the next election, and I think we can win the next election. For us to do that, we have to offer an alternative to Pierre Poilievre, end quote, Mr. Long said in reference to the Conservative Party leader. Quote, consistently, I continue to hear, I want to vote for you, but I can't, end quote. Mr. Long is a backbench MP with a reputation for speaking his mind, and he has already announced he will not run again in the next general election expected next year. He has signed on to the letter calling for an in-person caucus meeting. Independent Senator Roger Kuzner, who has nearly 20 years of experience as a Liberal MP from 2000 to 2019, said Mr. Trudeau should stay because he's shown he's a strong campaigner. Quote, it's going to be a tough one, but you just put your head down and you stick to the game plan, end quote, he said. I know he's determined and he'll work his ass off, so they write him off at their own peril, I believe.
So that last bit, Trudeau is a good campaigner, but to me that just says all we really care about him doing is getting money for our party so that we can continue on the exact same path. It's not going to benefit Canadians for Trudeau to stick around. It's going to benefit the Liberal Party.
100%. Now, we're not the only ones, and the Globe and Mail isn't the only ones that haven't heard anything from Trudeau. CTV commented on this as well, so let's take a look.
The political pressure has only piled on in the days since the shocking Toronto by-election defeat this week. Still, most MPs have publicly stood by their leader.
The Prime Minister has led us through 3 very successful elections, and of course I support him.
Trudeau has so far stood firm against stepping down, insisting he will be the one to lead his party into the next election against Pierre Poilievre. Heather?
All right, Jeremy, thanks. For more on this, let's bring in CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecouture. Mike, we now have a former Trudeau cabinet minister and one of his current MPs on the record. Should we expect more?
Well, the Prime Minister certainly has to stop this before it starts to snowball. It may be this summer, but that could end up happening. Here's the issue. Now that you have these two on the record, what will happen as this crucial summer barbecue circuit starts? We know that MPs are going to be in their ridings. What will they be doing? They need to be selling their party to all of their constituents, but instead, are they going to be there selling out the Prime Minister? That is something that the team needs to sort of figure out right now. And when I mean the team, the Prime Minister's office, are they going to be reaching out to different MPs to really sort of canvass them and see where they are? Does the Prime Minister need to call some sort of summer caucus to rally the troops? Questions he will need to answer over the next few days, if not weeks.
And this is kind of what we've been saying, but it lays out a really big problem for Justin Trudeau. If he does not call a caucus meeting, if he doesn't reach out to any of these MPs, if he provides no narrative about the Toronto by-election and response to this letter that has been sent in, he does so at his own peril, because you're leaving all of these MPs now to essentially answer for you, and they're not going to be too happy about that. So you have the party faithful, which are probably going to be the cabinet and the ministers, because they're the ones getting the extra paycheck. But for everybody else, that's around 120 odd MPs, they're not going to be too happy about having to answer questions for the Prime Minister, of which he has given no answer himself. So it's a possibility that they may just start distancing themselves from Justin Trudeau at these barbecue circuit events and saying, listen, I don't agree either, and I'm with you. So, we want him out. And that could be the narrative by the end of the summer. And then when you end up in the fall, when Parliament comes back, he may end up returning to a caucus full of people that are absolutely detestful of his presence, and he may have no choice but to step down at that point.
Well, and this is a direct result of how our parliamentary system works. You vote for your local MP, but all of the MPs combined form a party, and the biggest party, the leader of that party, becomes the prime minister. So what's happening is these liberal backbenchers are going into their ridings and they're hearing, well, I'm not voting for you specifically because Justin Trudeau is the head of your party and I don't want him to be prime minister anymore. Therefore, you're going to be out of a job come next election.
Right. So in order to actually garner support from the liberal voters, what are they going to have to say? Well, I agree with you, so I want Justin Trudeau out. That's the only way they're kind of even going to have a shot at getting people to vote for them in the next general election. But if Trudeau's still around, that's not going to happen. So that's what the Liberals have to look forward to on the barbecue circuit. Uncertainty and a party in chaos. And nobody knows what's going to happen and who's even going to be the leader by the time Parliament sits for its last fall session. So, meanwhile, you have a direct contrast from Justin Trudeau to Pierre Poilievre and what he's been doing, because he's been pretty silent on this. Now, that's because when you see your enemy making a mistake, you don't interrupt him. And it has been mistake after mistake after mistake, and each successive day that Trudeau doesn't say anything is another mistake. So Pierre has been doing what Pierre does so well, which is essentially just continuing to build his brand, traveling across the country, meeting everyday Canadians, and understanding what makes us all tick. So, Trudeau's dancing in the streets down at a market. Showing off the only way he knows how.
Well, and I think that's a very important thing to highlight, that Trudeau has been going, look at me, look at me, look at me. And Pierre, on the other hand, is making it about Canadians. He knows that he will serve Canadians, so he wants to know what's affecting Canadians. What do Canadians want? Not look at me, look at me, look at me.
So here's a little taste of what Pierre's been doing.
They want to protect their industries. In essence, they share the same common sense values in Quebec as the rest of the country. They want low taxes that reward hard work, free enterprise to make things, harvest industry, bring home production and paychecks to our country. They want to protect their hunting rifles, buy local food from these incredible, prodigious farm fields, support our military, unleash the potential of the country, just like people everywhere across them. This is great news because, contrary to what some would have you believe, we have a common set of values in this country. Common sense, common people, common values right across the country. And I hope that you'll get a chance to take your family on the road, hopefully even to Quebec, or wherever you're going, get a chance to get to know your fellow Canadians and appreciate how much we share in common, how united we truly are, how grateful we are for our history, our common history, and how optimistic we are for our common future together. Thanks very much for joining us in the Common Sense Caravan. I hope that you and your family have a great summer vacation. And I look forward to crossing paths, shaking hands, and celebrating all we have. Let's bring it home.